And we move into National 2 East now, where you can see I am joined by a special guest this week in the form of Barnes Director of Rugby and Head Coach Jack Heel. Jack, thanks so much for coming on the show this week.
No, you're welcome. It's good to be here.
So obviously you would have seen in the intro that Barnes aren't one of our feature clubs this week on the show, but Jack is very keen to help us explain the National 2 East picture a little bit more. It is one of the most competitive leagues across National 1 and National 2. And now we're at the halfway point of the season. It feels like a great time to get Jack's input. And Jack, to be honest, we'll probably start with your club Barnes, really, because you're right up there once again at the halfway point of the season. 4 wins in a row now after your victory over Henley last time out, that 32-22 victory. I think it was 4 tries in sort of 14, 15 minutes during the first half. So we know it's never an easy place to go. It hasn't been an easy place to go this season. So you must be delighted with the outcome from last weekend.
Yeah, it's been the first time in 4 years that we've won at Henley. They've got a good record there this year. I think before they lost to Tunbridge the week before we played them, their record was 5 or 6 in a row. So we knew that they were going to react to their defeat over in Tunbridge, which they did, and they threw a few barrels at us. So we were really happy going there and picking up 5 points, which was important for us building into the Christmas break, really.
And that win for Barnes actually lifted Jackside into second spot in the table after table rivals Dorking lost 35-34 at home to Canterbury. A very, very good win for Canterbury, who ended Dorking's 10-match winning run, but it may have been different. I know Dorking scored 3 times pretty late on to really set up a tense finish, but Max Coyle's try in the 80th minute wasn't converted, and it meant that Canterbury clinched this tight affair. A really good win at that for the City men. And Barnes, as we said, right at the top, Jack, are right in the mix again for, I think it's maybe two or three seasons now in a row. And we touched on Dorking there, we touched on Canterbury as well, and you mentioned Tunbridge and Henley in your first answer. Just how competitive is National 2 East now, and how competitive has it become over the last sort of 2 seasons or so?
Yeah, like we mentioned, you see, we've been relatively consistent for the last few years. Like people forget that this is a bit of a rebuilding year for us. We've got a lot of new players in after losing a core last summer due to retirement, and we're really happy where we're at. From the competitiveness, sorry, of the squad and the league, the league's yeah, it's proving now when you see the results like Sevenoaks having a really good result against Guernsey on the weekend. You mentioned the Canterbury result over Dorking, which was a very good result for them. You know, Dorking are pushing, as you know, like that they're coming to us this weekend, and then you got Western Park with good wins of the. So there's a long, long way to go. Yeah, we've played 50% of the games, but like there's a few twists or turns to take yet. So looking forward to that.
Yeah, I mean, Jack could have literally rattled off all 14 teams there in National 2 East, given the competitiveness of it. And as Jack quite rightly highlights, it was really competitive towards the other end of the table as well in round 13 with Colchester and Havant drawing 31 all at Raven Park. I think there was 3 points apiece going to both sides, but Colchester may have rued their indiscipline a little bit because Havant scored 12 points in the final 6 minutes to continue what has been quite a roller coaster first half of the season for the newly promoted side. But it just shows again how competitive the league is at the moment, and what that all means for the table is that Colchester moved off the bottom of the league with those 3 points they earned against Havant, with Worthing falling to the foot of the division after they were beaten 68-19 by Western Park. Sevenoaks, as Jack quite rightly mentioned, beat Guernsey Raiders at the weekend. A third win on the bounce now for Adam Bowman's side, and they were clinical and showed their defensive strength to see off the Raiders 24-16. And at the top, as we've already touched on, Barnes are very much in the mix with your likes of Tunbridge Julians, who produced a very classy display to see off Oxford Harlequins, scoring 6 tries in the opening 40 minutes as they won 54-36 away from home, while Barnes and Dorking are level on points, with Dorking having a game in hand. But that closeness, Jack, between yourselves and Dorking isn't kind of a standout point, really. You seem to have some fantastic battles over the last couple of seasons in terms of league position, but also on the pitch as well. I think I was doing a bit of research on the train at home yesterday. In the last 5 meetings between you two, I've probably averaged a winning margin of just over 3 points. So what is it about these games, Jack, that seems to bring out this extra level of competitiveness between Barnes and Dorking?
Yeah, well, for us, it's a semi-local rivalry. We're not on each other's doorsteps, but we're not, we're 45 minutes away from each other. So they're really competitive games between two Surrey clubs, essentially. Like you said, we played 5 times in the last 2 and a bit seasons. This will be the 6th one, and every game goes down to the final whistle, and that literally to the final whistle. So yeah, I don't know. As a coach, it's nerve-wracking, and you rack your brains, and I'm sure Arm and Rue over at Dorking will be doing the same thing. Each time we play each other, it's like, how does it come down to the final play each game? I'm just hoping it's not the same this week. I'd love kind of an 8 point buffer in the last couple of minutes. It'll be lovely. It'll settle the nerves a little bit. But, we got two very, very competitive teams with, contrasting styles of rugby, I would say. So it's going to be another nail biter for sure.
Yeah, and for those who haven't looked at the National 2 East fixtures before tuning into this section of the show, you may have guessed the fact that me and Jack are talking about Barnes and Dorking is the fact that Barnes and Dorking do play each other in round 14. Before we just we'll bring up the list of fixtures now in front of us. Jack, other than your game, is there any other fixtures that stand out for you on this Christmas weekend?
Yeah, I think the big one, apart from our games, probably Canterbury Sevenoaks down in Kent. Both off big wins last week. You're looking at what Matt Corker's done down at Canterbury. They're a much stronger outfit this year than where they've been a year or two ago. And obviously they're coming off a very good win last week. I'm sure Matt will have those boys fully charged and ready to go for Saturday. So I know that's their local derby pretty much, apart from the Western Park Sevenoaks game. That it should be a good one down there. So that'll be one that I won't be a betting man either way on that game, if I was honest.
You're quite right to highlight that game. Canterbury coming off that win against Dorking. It's now 4 wins in the last 5, or 5 wins in the last 6 for Canterbury Sevenoaks. 3 wins in a row for them. So they'll be flying into Derby Day in Kent. Just to wrap up the rest of the fixtures, then for round 14, Bury St Edmunds take on Henley as 6th place goes to 8th. Bury playing back-to-back home wins last time out against Old Albanian, with Henley Hawks looking to bounce back from that defeat to Jack Barnes last time out. Worthing visit 9th place Tavern. This developing Worthing side had a very tough afternoon in round 13 at Westcombe Park, and it might not get any easy for them at Havant on Saturday. As I mentioned before, it has been a roller coaster first half of the season for newly promoted Havant, but they seem to be enjoying the ride at the moment, and it'll be a cracking atmosphere at Hucks Lane on Saturday afternoon. Two sides who would love some early Christmas cheer will meet at Woolham's as Old Albanian host Oxford Harlequins. No win in 7 for OAs, although they have been on the end of some very tight losses in recent weeks, while Oxford Harlequins are just beginning to peer over their shoulders after 4 straight defeats. League leaders Tunbridge Julians will be Christmas #1 regardless of the outcome against Colchester, but the Slade will be rocking on Saturday as they hope for a 13th win of the season for the table toppers. And as Jack mentioned before, Guernsey Raiders, who lost to Sevenoaks, they'll be looking to full reaction and a bounce back this week when they take on Westcombe Park, who will be hoping for a full house of victories after 2 wins so far in December.